Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the final episode of Ultron Drone Priority. Today we're just going to be going over character specifics. So I thought I'd go through each character one by one and we can discuss them real fast. Hopefully today's episode is pretty short and sweet. Just kind of wanted to give you my thoughts on who I thought would get drone priority and what specific comps. So to start out here, we have Adam Warlock. Some general specifics about who I like to keep drones on. I like to keep drones on characters who I think will be taking a lot of direct damage to their health. So what does that mean? Well, a character like Groot is going to be face tanking a lot of damage. He is more likely to benefit from the drone's priority healing than other characters. For example, Strange. Strange also takes a lot of damage, but a lot of the damage that he tanks is from his shield, right? So having the priority healing on him won't be as effective as having it on Groot. So that's like kind of some basics. So in this case, Adam Warlock, right? Well, let's consider what comps we're running Adam Warlock in. If we're running 2-2-2 with Ultron Adam, we probably just lost on the spot. So in that case, there's only one play that you really can do, and that is don't put the drone on Adam Warlock. If you're in 2-2-2, the drone doesn't go on Adam Warlock. It goes on your DPS. Your only option to win that game is to kill them before they kill you and kill them as fast as possible. So your goal is not to keep Adam alive because you cannot keep Adam alive. So if you're in a 2-2-2 with Adam, drone doesn't go on him. Now, if you're in a 2-1-3 or a 1-2-3, where you're running a 3 support comp, then Adam actually is a pretty good drone target. Why? One, he's slow, right? So he has no escape. He has a pretty big hitbox. He's pretty likely to be the dive target. If an enemy team sees Adam, they're very likely to dive Adam. The other thing with Adam is that he tends to be playing close-ish to his team. He needs to be for Soul Bond to be effective. So a lot of Adam players, there are some flank Adam players, and you'll see them. They don't really need drone as often as other players. But you'll see most Adams stick with their team a little bit. So having drone on him means you will get a lot of area of effect healing. But he is a good target because he is likely to be taking damage. And it is important to keep him up. Adam really wants his passive not to get popped. What he wants is for when his ultimate is up, that passive to still be active so that he can get his ultimate off after he dies, right? He can maybe fly somewhere. Or even trigger it beforehand because he's likely to die right after his ult. Regardless, he really wants to keep that passive up. He's most likely the dive target because he's really slow, so he's a really good target in triple support comp. And he's also likely to be playing close to his team. Also, how Adam's self-heal works. Adam does not want to be self-healing himself. He has one of the best heals in the entire game. An instant full health is crazy powerful. That is super good on a DPS or even a tank. You don't want him wasting his self-heals on himself. Don't give him an excuse to do that. Enable him to carry your team through the best burst heals in the game, right? If he has to spend the game self-healing himself, he is not going to be able to do as much. So Adam is a very good drone target. Angela. Angela is also a terrific drone target. She really wants drone. Why? It does vary throughout the ranks, right? And it varies on who your other supports are. But a lot of supports have difficulty healing Angela. Her movement is weird, her hitbox is weird, and she moves incredibly fast. She's also out of LOS a lot. She's behind enemy lines a lot. So shields and stuff will also break line of sight for heals. So having that drone on Angela can be really helpful. Especially if you see her going for a dive, right? Where she's looking to spearfish somebody. When you see that going in, put a drone on her. She is likely to take damage because a lot of times she's kidnapping a tank, right? So she's going to be flying in front of the DPS and the support and grabbing a tank. Or sometimes she's grabbing a DPS. Regardless, she will be taking some damage. So being able to give her that little bit of extra sustain can be really helpful. It also relieves that pressure from your other support players to focus the healing on her. They don't have to worry about it as much. And now that you have 2 drones, being able to cycle one onto her when she's making those dives is a really good play. BP? BP is not a great drone target. He's better now because you have damage boost, so giving him damage boost can be really helpful, right? The speed and damage boost is very good. It makes some of his breakpoints, especially on like 275 HP heroes. I believe it makes them really good. As far as I'm aware, the 10% damage boost means Spear Dash kills 275. So he can benefit. The problem is, and I'll show you, you're in the practice range. You don't want to give him drone for 2 reasons. 1, BP is a character that goes in after the fight has started, right? He will not be taking damage beforehand. Typically, he is trying to set up a play. Let's see, how do I grab a friendly character? It's down here, right? Oh, maybe not. Okay, well, I'll just show you on the bot then. So typically, right, he is a character who waits until after the fight has started, and so he will be finding somewhere to hide during that pre-fight so he can join in the mid-fight. That means he's likely to be out of LOS, and you always want uptime on your drones. You always want healing to be happening with your drones so you can be building ult charge. So if you have a character who is not taking any damage, that is bad. The other problem, as a BP, right? And I'll show you this. As a BP, this is how you want to be in most characters, right? You want to be on this side of a wall, right? You want to be looking off your right shoulder. Or you want to be like this and looking off your left shoulder, right? This is how you're playing BP. You're looking like this. Where do you think Ultron's drone sits on a teammate? It sits off their left shoulder. So if you're right here, and the problem with the left shoulder peeking is you have a much narrower field of view than right shoulder peeking, right? Right shoulder, I can see a lot. I can even see around the corner from all the way over here. Left shoulder, it's a lot more narrow. So if you have that drone off their left shoulder, and they're doing a left shoulder peek, the enemy team is going to see your drone just hanging out. Don't screw over your flankers by giving them preemptive heals and letting the enemy team know that they're there. So BP can be a good target, especially in the mid fight. If you see him go in, then giving him drone is helpful. But do not give him drone in the pre-fight, right? Right before the fight has started, avoid giving him the drone because you are likely to alert the enemy to where he is at. Now Black Widow just got a lot better. I believe with your damage boost she can now one-shot. So look to be spamming right clicks on her. You don't need to leave it on her. Widow is actually a great anti-dive character by herself, but she is likely to be the dive target, right? At certain ranges, she's probably not going to be taking very much damage, but if a dive happens, go ahead and switch it to her, giving her that, and like I said, that damage boost is very, very good on her. So she just got a lot better. I don't have a lot of experience with Black Widows though, so I can't speak to it too much, but it has seemed like this season, the 2 or 3 times I've gotten a Widow, it has looked like I've gotten some value out of making sure that she always has that damage increase uptime, especially if you don't have a Mantis. If you have a Mantis, I wouldn't worry about it too much. Blade. Blade is a great character for drone. Why? Blade exists on the cusp of greatness. This is why they have been so hesitant about buffing him, because there reaches a point where his self-heal is so good that he cannot die if he is slashing on somebody, right? So giving drone to Blade can be very good. Yes, he has the decreased healing from it, but just that little bit of healing pushes him over the top, especially with the recent buffs. If you have a Blade who has drone, he can sit on the enemy front line almost the whole game and not die. And he will be taking damage. His hitbox is very large. Blade is a very large character model. He's very likely to be taking damage. You are very likely to be getting healing from him. And the other thing is, Blade is a Blade will be on the front lines at times with his sword up. That means if you have drone on Blade, Blade is essentially a tank with how much health he will be regenerating. You will also be healing your tanks who are most likely there in the front line with Blade. So Blade is a good target. Blade is a very good target for drone. Next, Bruce Banner. Bruce is a big tank, huge hitbox. Everybody knows to shoot Hulk. Everybody does shoot Hulk. He only has one ability on a 10-second cooldown, I think, the bubble, that negates damage. Otherwise, he's just face tanking it. So he is he's a very good drone target. The other thing about Bruce that's different from Cap is Bruce isn't flanking, so he's not likely to fall out of LOS. He's very likely to jump into the enemy team. Maybe he falls out of LOS when he jumps in, but then he will jump right back out, so he's likely to keep healing. The other thing that I really like about droning Hulk is a character who excels at peeling. Hulk is the best peel character in the game, most likely, right? He's very good at jumping into your own backline to defend them. That if you watch like good Hulk players, they do that a lot, right? They're like, yes, they make fancy plays with their ult, but when they're not in their ult, they're peeling. They're peeling like crazy, and they're just making plays. They're making every single fight a 2v1 for your own team. So giving him that drone, he's likely to peel to whoever your teammate is that got dove. So you're likely to get the heals there. So he's a very, very good drone target. Yeah. I don't think Cap's great. Like I said, he's likely to fall out of LOS. He has his shield, which blocks a lot of damage. He's okay. It can be nice, especially like if he's initiating a dive with the Spidey, right? If you throw it on the Cap because you can't reach the Spidey, your Spidey's likely to pick up some healing from Cap. I find, though, that Cap has enough self-sustain by himself that he doesn't really need the drone. Like, the drone healing, it doesn't really matter. You're more likely to get value out of it somewhere else. He doesn't do enough damage that your damage boost, he really cares. He's super fast, so why does he care about the speed boost? He's really not a great drone target. Cloak and Dagger. We talked a little bit in the previous video about how you don't want your other healers having to use their cooldowns to heal themselves. Cloak and Dagger doesn't have great self-heal outside of Bubble, and you don't want them using that. That being said, Cloak and Dagger is not a great drone target. Why? 2 reasons. 1, they do have that self-heal, so they're likely fine. They're a small character model, especially when it's Cloak form. Cloak is a small character model. She's likely not to be taking a bunch of trash damage. Good Cloak players are able to keep themselves up through self-heal like Splash on teammates. And your other support, if you're in a 3 support comp, should be able to keep Cloak up enough that she doesn't have to use her own bubble. The other thing, when a Cloak gets dove, right, they bubble themselves, then they go Dagger, and then they fade. During that fade, your drone disappears. And you're very likely to be, you turn around, you drone, they fade immediately, your drone disappears, and then you have to wait a second and reapply drone. I do this all the time, and it bugs me because I know I shouldn't be doing it. But you want to apply that drone after, right? You got to make sure it comes in after. Otherwise, you're just wasting time when you could be damaging the DPS who's diving Cloak and Dagger. And that will be way more useful than the 10 HP that you got on them right before they faded. So just something to keep an eye on. Not a great drone target for support, but not the worst. Daredevil. Daredevil's like Blade, but on crack. Daredevil is, in my opinion, I think Daredevil's one of the best drone targets in the entire game. Right? Being able to heal when he's deflecting means when he's fighting, everything like that is just outrageous. And the other thing too is when he generates overshield, he's not regenerating health, right? He's regenerating overshield. So as the overshield gets chipped away, your drone is still healing his health. So he heals, it's an additive effect, right? And it's very good. It makes Daredevil almost unkillable. Daredevil is without doubt one of the best drone targets in the entire game, in my opinion. If you have a Daredevil, your drone should be on him very, very often. Strange. Strange is one of the worst tanks. Yeah, one of the worst tanks to give your drone to. He's not bad by any means. I want to preface this by saying I don't think any tank is bad necessarily to give drone to, because you are likely to generate a lot of ult charge. But like I had said previously, the thing with Strange is he tanks a lot with the shield, which means his direct health isn't taking that much damage. However, what is important is the drone allows him to play a little bit more aggressive. And a Strange who is farming ults is very, very good. So this comes down a lot to what kind of Strange player you have. If you have a very aggressive Strange player, which some of them are, right? It doesn't matter on elo. Some of them are very aggressive. Some of them are less aggressive. If you have a very aggressive one, he's a very good drone target. If you have a less aggressive one, he is a worse drone target. So that's just something to keep in mind. But like I said, no tank is ever really bad. But drone is on, but Doctor Strange is on the worst end of good. Emma Frost is a pretty good drone target. She only has the one shield. It doesn't have very much HP. She's likely to be face tanking a lot of damage. Giving her that drone means that she's able to just face tank a little bit more. The other thing with Diamond Form is I believe she takes less damage, but she doesn't take less healing. So giving drone on Diamond Form is really good. Giving Emma speed boost, especially during her ult, is very, very good. So she's about middle of the road drone target. Gambit. I personally think Gambit's a very bad drone target. Maybe not very bad, but I think he's one of the more... He's one of the supports that needs it the least. He has a lot of self-sustain, and I mean a lot of self-sustain. He doesn't need that drone. You're not going to be getting a lot of value out of it. Yes, you can help him save cards, and that might be helpful, but honestly, I don't... From what I can tell, droning Gambit, not great. Groot. Groot's probably your best drone tank target. Groot is always damaged. Everybody knows to shoot the tree. Doesn't matter if you're in Plat, Bronze, Eternity. Everybody shoots the tree at all times. Just trash damage is always hitting him. So you will get ult charge so incredibly quickly. And the other thing too is if you have a Groot on your team, he's also getting his ult very quickly because that's how Groot works. You need to make sure your ult is up at the same time his ult is up every single fight. Your ult's one of the best combo ults with Groot. So make sure you're charging it at the same time and make sure Groot stays alive. Everybody's shooting Groot. You need to make sure a drone is always touching Groot. So he's a very good drone target. Hawkeye. You know, this one kind of depends on what your Hawkeye's playstyle is. There's the flanking Hawkeye. He doesn't need drone. Right? You can drone him when he's leaving. If you have what like people call the American Hawkeye, right, where he's more frontlining, then he's a pretty good target. He doesn't really need the damage boost or the speed boost, but he is likely to be dove, so it's not terrible. I would say he's on the lower end of DPS though that need the drone. Hela. Hela's gotten better, like Widow. Giving her the damage boost gives her some key breakpoints for on 275 HP heroes, so that can be nice. Spamming right clicks on her. She has Bird, and Bird is like Fade, where it will disengage the drone. So if she gets dove, be careful about droning her on the initial dive because she's likely to bird away from the initial dive, and then you have to reapply drones. So you're just wasting uptime, right? Trying to reapply twice. So just be careful of that. Same thing like with Cloak. But Hela doesn't have any self-sustain. She's pretty squishy. She's got a pretty big hitbox. She'll be taking damage. She's a good character to enable though. She's pretty good for drone, but the bird is something to be wary of. However, keep in mind, Hela is one of the hardest carry characters in the entire game. If you have a Hela who's popping off, the enemy team is going to identify that, at least starting at certain ranks, and they are going to start diving her. She will be the dive target. When their focus switches to Hela, make sure she has a drone, right? Whoever your carry is, enable them. Enable the carry. That's the most important thing. You need to enable your carry. That's one of the best things you can do as Ultron. So if your Hela is carrying, or your Hawkeye is carrying, or any DPS is carrying, or any tank is carrying, as a general rule of thumb, if you have somebody carrying the game, give them drone. Torch. All flyers are good drone targets. Why? It's hard for your other supports to look up, especially if you only have one. If you have two, it's a little bit easier. But regardless, all flyers are good targets. The other thing about flyers, it allows you to play a little bit higher off the ground. This means that you are out of range of some characters like Mr. Fantastic, Captain America, stuff like that. So it gives you a little bit more survivability, and having that drone target heal you while in the air is very good. So all flyers are great targets as a general rule of thumb. Invisible Woman doesn't need drone. I think she's the worst support to drone. Or Rocket. Actually, it's probably her. She probably has one of the highest survivabilities in the entire game. The only time you truly need to be giving her drone is during her ult. When she's ulting, give her drone, give her the overshield, right? Make sure she survives that, because it's important that she survives. And you can give her drone. If you are in, a 2 support comp, then it is important to keep up your second support. It's very important that they don't die. So you can give her drone then, especially if she's getting dove. And the general rule of thumb, right? Any character that gets dove, they're a pretty good drone target. But for most of the game, Invisible Woman, she's not a great drone target. She can heal herself really easily with her shield. It's on a really short cooldown. You're not really concerned about... You're not burning that cooldown, because she can put it on herself and still reapply it to somebody without any cooldown change. So she's definitely... I would say she's probably the worst drone target on supports. Iron Fist. Iron Fist is like the other characters, like Daredevil and Blade. He's very good for drone. Why? He's sitting in the front line. He's going to be taking damage. After he right clicks and he gets that block, he goes kind of green. That green glow means he has 30% damage reduction. So he's going to be taking less damage, but he's going to be healing the same. So unlike Blade, right, where Blade is going to be healing less, so it's a little bit worse of a target, Iron Fist is not healing less. He's just taking less damage, at least as far as I know. So he's very good for drone target. That little bit of damage boost helps him. He's good for shredding tanks. If an Iron Fist can sit on your tank long enough, your tank dies no matter what, pretty much. So enabling him to do that is very good. Iron Man, terrific drone target. Probably the best flyer to drone. Iron Man, if you have an Iron Man on your team, you can almost leave a drone on him the entire game, especially in triple support. If you're running triple support, I would say leave the drone on him for 90-95% of the game. It will heal you. It allows you to play more aggressive. If you have that drone on Iron Man, play aggressive, right? You're going to be healing yourself with that drone. You can take a little bit of aggro. That's good for your team, because when aggro's on you, it's not on them, right? Obviously, play safe. Don't try to face tank a Hela just standing out in the open. But you can play a little bit more aggro. You can take some shots from Hela. That's fine. And Iron Man's going to be playing where you want to play. Iron Man has to play a little bit protective, because he's an easy character to kill. He's an easy character to take out of the sky. So he has to play a little bit more passive, a little bit around cover, which is exactly where you want to play. So he's probably the best DPS to drone, which is cool. It's fun that he also gives you the team up, and he's a great drone target. Jeff. Jeff's kind of weird. You need the drone on him before the dive, right? If you see the dive coming and you drone Jeff and give him the overshield, he'll survive probably almost every single time. He's very good at surviving if you get the drone on before him. As long as he can make it out of the initial dive, Jeff is almost impossible to kill. But you kind of have to get that drone on him beforehand. So it's a little bit weird, right? He's not a great drone target because he does have so much else to say. It's really hard to kill a Jeff that's dove and bubbled. If he bubbles himself and he makes it into the dive, very hard to kill. But it is something to keep an eye on, right? If the enemy team has a Spider-Man, Spider players have gotten really good at killing Jeffs before they dive, right? It's like they will tracer, and then instead of pulling themselves to Jeff, they pull Jeff to them, and then uppercut, and then overhead swing, right click, and I think that kills Jeff. I think that's 250, something like that. So that you need to be looking out for that combo. Like if there's a Spidey, right? If you see the Spidey coming in, you're gonna want to get the drone on him preemptively. However, if that's not the case, you don't need to worry about him too much. Jeff is pretty good at taking care of himself. He has a lot of self-sustain, so it's not a big deal. He'll be able to recover himself from any damage that he takes. Loki. I'll be honest with you. I played an okay amount with Loki in season 2.5, and then I took off a couple seasons, and then the last couple seasons I've been playing again. But I haven't really played that much with Loki, so it's a little bit weird. I think Loki has good self-sustain by himself, though. You don't have to worry too much. He's pretty good anti-dive, depending on what they're running. If they have a Black Panther, then it can be worth, giving him that overshield, because that breaks that 250 HP breakpoint that BP is looking for. And it can even break the 280 or 275 HP breakpoint that BP also has. So he can be an okay drone target, but he's not the best. And ideally, you don't even want a Loki on your team. Loki suffers from being one of the few supports that has very, very poor ability to heal flying characters. So you really don't want Loki on your team at all. But he's not a great drone target. Luna. Luna Snow's one of your better drone targets. She did get a little bit worse because she has self-healing now. So she's a little bit more self-sufficient. She doesn't need that drone as much. But during dive, Luna is a big dive target, right? If you don't have an Atom on your team, Luna is probably the second choice. So when a dive is initiated, make sure you have a drone on Luna. Make sure she stays up. Luna outputs so much healing. Luna can carry a game if she's not contested. So you just need to make sure you keep your Luna Snow up. So she's a very good drone target. Magik. Magik is like these other brawler DPS, right? Blade, Daredevil, Iron Fist. Magik with drone, terrific, absolutely terrific. Enabling her to stay in the fight longer is wonderful. Magik really wants your drone. Now, be careful. It's like Blade, right? Magik has that little bit of, I need to wait for the pre-fight till I engage. So you can wait until after the pre-fight begins, right? After the first round of cooldowns are used and then Magik engages, then you can give Magik the drone. Like, don't give away her position early. Don't leave it on her if she's not taking any damage. But look to apply drone to her when she is diving, right? When she's initiating that brawl that she does. And very good to put on when she's ulting. She should always have it when she's ulting. Mag is one of the worst tanks to give drone to. Now, that doesn't mean he's bad. Again, every tank is good. Mag just happens to be one of the worst ones because he has so much damage negation through his abilities that he's not taking direct health damage. So you don't have to worry about Mag that much, which is very nice, right? When you have a Mag on your team, it's nice to not have to worry about him because he can self-sustain him so much. You can worry about your other characters a little bit more. So if you have a Mag, don't look to be leaving drone on him near as much as your other characters, right? If you have an Iron Fist and a Magneto, maybe leave the drone on the Iron Fist. He's more likely to be taking that damage. He's going to be in that front line. He's going to be getting poked out by the enemy tanks, right? Put the drone on him. Mag will still get some of that healing, but he probably doesn't need all of it. That's why Mag is such a good solo tank, right? His damage negation is off the charts. So he tends to be one of the worst drone targets, but in a solo tank situation, go ahead and leave that drone on him. Man, if you are in a duo tank situation though, Mag never gets the drone. Unless you have both drones on both tanks, Mag never gets the drone. Right? If you are Mag Strange gets the drone. Mag Emma gets the drone. Unlike a lot of these characters, I could order them in a tier list, but if you have a Groot gets drone and whoever your other tank is doesn't, right? It doesn't really matter who your other tank is, except for maybe the Thing. Thing might get drone If you're running Thing Groot, I'd probably put the drone on Thing. Thing has like 0 damage negation, right? He's just gonna be face tanking. But that's kind of beside the point. Mag and duo comp, again, never gets drone. Solo comp, you can give him drone. Mantis is a really good drone target. She's pretty diveable. She does have the sleep, right? But that's only sleeps one person. There likely is to be more than one diver. She's likely to be taking damage. She's likely to be taking damage. She's likely to be getting poked out. You know, stuff like that. So she's a good drone target. She's likely to be off angling. So I would say in general, good drone target across the board. Mr. Fantastic, again, like all the other Brawl DPS, one of your best drone targets. If you have 2 tanks and 1 tank goes down, give the other drone to Mr. Fantastic. He is now a pseudo tank. If you have 1 tank and he goes down, give the drone to Mr. Fantastic. He is now your acting tank until your tank gets back. He has enough health that he can make use of the slow healing that you have, right? Mr. Fantastic might heal 150 HP, whereas a Hawkeye might heal 50 HP, just due to his damage negation and his overhealth and his, you know, his Pop-Tart ability. So he's a very good drone target. Moon Knight's weird. Moon Knight is like Jeff. You need to get that drone on him right before the dive is initiated because he blows up so fast. Moon Knight dies all the time because his character model is absurdly large. It is wider than Doctor Strange's. It is horrible how big that character is, and he only has 275 HP. He's gotten a little bit more survivability lately. His right click now giving him overhealth, so he's a little bit more sustained. But look for Moon Knight to be getting dived. When you see the dive coming, drone him. Otherwise, it's not a big deal if you leave the drone off of him. Namor. Namor's not a great. He's not a great drone target. He's okay. You know, he's a little bit beefy, so giving him that drone can help. But he's got a lot of, like, Namor's a pretty good duelist in the 1v1, right? He probably doesn't need the drone. And the other thing too is this: his bubble is very, very good. And one thing that makes his bubble amazing is it enables your other healer or healers to heal him, right? When he shifts up low HP, your Luna is going to look at him. Your Cloak and Dagger is going to look at him. He will come out of that bubble most likely full HP. Right? If your other supports are distracted, then go ahead and give him drone. But if they're not distracted, they'll heal him up to full HP. He likely doesn't need your drone, and he's not going to be benefiting it from it that much. So not a great drone target. Penny face tanks a lot. You know, like if they walk out on Moon Knight's just going to be shooting Penny. So leaving a drone on her can be pretty good. Yeah, just in general, she's a pretty good drone target if you want to build ult. She has pretty high self-sustain, so you don't need to worry about it. If you have a flanking Penny, you don't need to give her drone. You don't need to worry about her. She'll keep herself up. If you don't have a flanking Penny, though, if you're just running bunker Penny, keeping drone on her can be very good. Phoenix is pretty bad for 2 reasons. One, Phoenix has her own self-sustain mechanic. So she will be healing herself, which will be fighting with your own healing, so you're likely to get less. The other problem is her shift drops your drone. So if you put the drone on her, it's just like Hela. You put the drone on her, she gets dove, she shifts, she no longer has drone, you have to reapply drone. Which makes it very difficult. She's not a great drone target. So you can put it on her, just like you can put it on anybody. But out of the gate, she shouldn't really be a top priority. Psylocke's interesting. I can't really decide. People have a lot of different Psylocke playstyles. I don't think she's a great character from it, though. She's not really taking a lot of damage to utilize it. Sometimes those breakpoints really matter. Sometimes they don't. I'd put her maybe middle of the road or less than middle of the road for drone priority. Not great, but not horrible. Rocket has a ton of self-sustain. You don't need to worry about him in the pre-fight, right? You don't need to worry about him in most cases. However, if a dive does happen, target Rocket is there's a decent chance Rocket could be the dive target. In that case, give him drone. He does benefit from it quite a bit. But if he is not the dive target, you don't need to worry about Rocket. Rocket will keep himself up. If you are playing Poke against Poke, Rocket will be fine. You don't need to worry about giving him drone. If you're playing against dive, yes. But Poke or Brawl, don't worry about it. Rogue. I can't speak too much on it, but she doesn't have a shield, which automatically makes her a pretty good drone target, right? If she's not negating damage with anything but her face and her health pool, good drone target. And she does take a lot of damage, and she has some like damage negation stuff, so, or like damage resistance, so giving her that drone can be helpful. Scarlet Witch, I really haven't had that much experience with her. I don't think she's great. Maybe she's okay, you know, like her time to kill is one of the lowest in the games, so maybe giving her that health allows her to win more duels. But typically a lot of Scarlet Witches are just turning 1v1s into 2v1s on your team. They're not really like just trying to straight up out duel other duelists. So she's not really benefiting that much from the drone. Spider-Man is a great drone target when you can land it on him. It's hard though, but every chance you see, if you can get it on him before he dives, go ahead and do it. That's almost always some sort of value. Spidey takes a lot of damage. People now know that when Spidey's coming in, everybody needs to turn and shoot him. Doesn't really matter the ranks. Most people do that at most ranks. He will be taking trash damage, so giving him that drone, allowing him to stay in the fight a little bit longer, is a really big deal. Squirrel Girl. She can be okay. She's very susceptible to getting dove. Somewhat ironically, like Root is very good, but she is likely to die and she gets outpoked. I mean, she's just not a great character, right? So giving her drone can help enable her to kind of overcome those shortcomings of her character and help her win some more duels. So she's a pretty good drone, but not great. Star-Lord is a really good drone target. Make sure you have drone on him when he is ulting. That's very important. Or when he does his E, right? If he shifts into the enemy team and does his E, give him drone and give him that speed boost. That's a really big deal. That's super helpful for him. He gets a ton of value out of that. In general, pretty good drone target. Just because of the playstyle with him. Now, if he's flanking a lot, right, and he has Snowflake, don't worry about it. If he doesn't have Snowflake and he's not flanking, he's more like kind of off-angling, brawling-ish a little bit more, he's a pretty good drone target. Storm is a great target. Storm suffers from taking a lot of trash damage. She gets poked out a lot, so enabling her to not have to worry about it that much is very good for your team. You want to be playing close to her because she has speed and damage boost, which is very beneficial to you as Ultron. So playing next to her just naturally gives you a good benefit. And if you have drone on her, you'll also heal. So giving her drone, very, very good. Storm is an excellent drone target. Punisher can be a really good drone target. Look to drone him right before his turret breaks. He is very likely to die after a turret break because people are actively shooting at him. Multiple people tend to be. So look to drone him right before that turret breaks. He has a very large character model, so he will be taking lots of trash damage. But a Punisher with a drone and a shotgun out is a very scary thing, especially for tanks. He wins all of the tank duels with drone, so he becomes extremely threatening in the front line. So he's a very good drone target. The Thing is excellent. Actually, I'm going to talk about the Thing and Thor at the same time. They're both excellent drone targets. They're going to be face tanking a ton. You're going to get a ton of value. You're going to get your ult super fast. If you are running Thing or Thor and your other tank is Strange or Emma or Captain America or Magneto, then Thing or Thor always get the drone. These guys almost always get the drone. If you're running both of these, good luck. I would say Thing probably gets the drone in that scenario. Thor has a little bit more survivability, it seems like. But, yeah, you know, that's debatable. Not, you would maybe have to ask a tank player. Maybe they have a better understanding of that. Um, but they're both good. They're both very good drone targets. You're likely to get a lot of value out of your drones. Venom's kind of weird because in the pre-fight, he's a bad drone target. He's not likely to be taking damage. He's likely looking to be setting up for a dive. If you can get on him right before a dive, then that can be helpful. That can be very helpful, right? Especially if you have a Spidey diving with him. Having the drone on Venom will likely heal the Spidey as well. But the thing is Venom has a lot of natural survivability. He wants to get in. He wants to lose most of his health. Pop his E, get out. Then when he comes back, your other support is going to heal him up a lot faster than you will be able to. So you don't need to worry about it too much. Venom can be a good drone target, but seriously, don't worry about it too much. Don't be like, oh, I gotta dash in to get the drone on Venom. You're just likely going to feed. Venom typically can take care of himself. So he's not a super great drone target, but not horrible, especially if you can get it on him before, like right before the dive happens. Winter Soldier is like Mr. Fantastic or Daredevil. If you are running solo tank and the tank goes down, Winter Soldier is your acting tank with drone. You put the drone on him. Now all of a sudden he's got the equivalent of 500 HP. He's pretty much a tank. So he's very good with drone. Winter Soldier is very good. The generating the overhealth, he's almost impossible to kill if you give him drone. So he benefits a lot, especially when he's ulting. When he's ulting, put your drone on him. It can be hard to kill him because of how his character model moves during the ult, but your drone heals, auto aim. You just have to put it on him. It's not even that hard. So giving him that heal can really matter. So he's an excellent drone target. Wolf is also an excellent drone target. Again, be wary. It's kind of the same thing with BP. You don't want to give away his positioning before the fight happens. So in the pre-fight, maybe you don't drone him. Depends on kind of how he's playing. Like if he's prowling off on the side angle, don't give it to him. If he's prowling the front line though, then you can give it to him. But during, right before the dive, when he goes in, it's very good to give him drone. He's going to be taking lots of damage. You want to make sure he stays up. A drone or a Wolverine who's pocketed does a crazy amount of damage. So he's a very good drone target. But yeah, I think that's all the heroes right now. That was kind of my rundown on what I consider going in to a team comp. I'll take all those things into consideration. Like if I have Strange, Emma, Daredevil, Gambit, Rocket, Emma and Daredevil will probably have the drones in that case because they're most likely to be taking damage. In general, I want healing to be during the pre and mid fight. I want healing to be on the character who's taking the most damage. And then in the late fight, I want healing to be on the character who is most likely to die. Or in the mid fight, right? If a character gets dove, I want drone on them because I don't want them to die. But unless somebody is actively under a dive or actively getting poked out, I just want to charge my ult as fast as possible. And make sure nobody gets below, like mid health. So it's important to keep it on characters who are going to be face tanking a lot of damage. But yeah, that's kind of my general thoughts here. This concludes sort of the drone priority discussion that I wanted to have with you guys. This was the third and final part. I might post some bonus content. That's just me ranting about it. But if you guys had any other opinions or you think I'm mislabeling any of these characters, I would love to know. I'm always looking on how to improve drone priority. That's one of the small parts of the game that can be very micromanaged. And can always, you can always do better with that, I think. So let me know down below. Or go ahead and drop by the stream at twitch.tv/tavernsandtales. Would love to hear from you guys. But yeah, thank you so much. If you've watched all 3 parts, I really do appreciate it. I'll be releasing more gameplay footage as well as more discussions about Ultron in the future, so stay tuned for those. feel free to like, comment, and subscribe and all of that jazz. So thank you so much once again. I appreciate you being here. I will see you guys later.